noxious weeds. You want to? That would be great. So we have two different categories of weeds. One is state listed noxious weeds and one are county listed noxious weeds. And we have 5 weeds on our county listed ones. And because we list them someplace means I can ask for grant money. If they are not on a list anywhere, I cannot ask for grant money for them. So for example, if you are worried about dandelions, they are not on a list anywhere, and I cannot spend taxpayer dollars to pay and treat for dandelions. Here's some more fun things that I have we can pass around. These are new calendars for 2020. Take one and pass those. I'm pretty excited about these. One of the educational tools that we do. All of us weed professionals compete to get in this calendar. We print 50,000 of them a year, and they all go.
I got one.
And I have more right here for running low, so no worries. And this year I won the picture of June, so that's pretty good. We had
Trapper Bee.
Yeah, we had almost 15,000 or 1,500 entries to get their picture in, and so that's of your valley. And these are clear across Montana, these calendars are. All the little pictures inside, almost every one of those are my photos that we have, but I don't get credit for those. I don't know why. One weed that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to hand you one of these too, is Horiolism tonight. That's a very big scare. It's got people all upset, and so I want to talk a little bit about how that plant grows, what we're doing to control it, and how everybody can work together. So here's another one. Take one of those and hand those out. Perfect, Patrick. We got pictures. So I encourage you guys to ask questions and go as we go through this, so that way you know exactly, in case I miss anything, of what concerns you guys might have. Before I get started real quick, what's the mission of this group? What do you guys do? Perfect, that's perfect. All right, so this right here is an issue for farmers and ranchers in our county, so perfect. So this front picture right here, real quick, is just, we've got a spray truck here, and we're spraying, this is common toad flax, which is hard for you guys to see, I'm sure. And then here is where we are spot treating weeds, because if you notice, well, I've noticed, I guess, I'm proud of it, over the last 20 years, you can literally see when you're driving down the road where our spray trucks have been and where they haven't been. And our weeds to the fence line are pretty clean. Most of Highway 93 and most of East Side Highway, we can literally say, there is some weeds, and we get out and treat it. In my opinion, there's no sense of spending all that extra time and money by turning on the nozzle and driving down the roadside, as we did when I first started working for the weed district. That was our job. You got in a truck and you sprayed all day and you never turned her off till you got home. Pour it on everywhere. So I've changed that with our program. We don't do that anymore. You're still seeing effects of that though, all these years later, and you can see where the line of cheatgrass is. So next time you guys get on any of these roads, you look, you're going to see that line of cheatgrass the first 4 to 6 feet from the road edge. And then you're going to see nice, beautiful grasses from that 6 feet out to our fence line, with a weed here and a weed there. So that's what we try to work on our roadside. So this is just one of our crews out here, just pulling that hose out there and just treating a few of those few little weeds. So we have only 3 employees for the Ravalli County Weed District. We take care of the entire county with weeds when it comes to everything but private property. Only 3 of us. So in order, whoops, I'm covering it up. So you've got myself here. In this picture, I am on the CD ranch dealing with a new invader called brush skeleton weed. And I'm in radio contact with the helicopter that's doing a search. We've got Tom working on Brid irrigation ditch with the few blue weeds that are left on that area. And then this was something we just found this year, purple loosestrife, right down past you.
Really?
This is, I think it's Forest Road. What's that down past Gold Creek up over the loop?
Yeah.
Around the corner. Beautiful bloom. And it's like, how did we miss that? So again, keep in mind that with all the weeds that we have, there's only 3 of us. And I think we do quite a good job. So I write grants so I can get employees. Every portion of these employees come from the grants that I write, and you're going to see those numbers in a little bit. Their workers' comp, their vacation time, everything that's associated with an employee comes from the grants that I write. So here we have a youth biocontrol crew. So I hire youth. They only have to be 14 and a half years old to 18 years old. And they collect and redistribute biocontrol to help us with noxious weeds. We had an all-boy group this year. Oh, I think they're more drama than girls. I'm telling you, but they worked really hard. It was a lot of fun. Our oldest boy we had was 16 years old. And here we put them on a blue weed pull because we do a lot of manual work, not just spraying all the time. Here are the guys that we hired for under grant, and they are for rush skeleton weed, blue weed, and several different projects. But we meet on the top of the Beaverhead County border and our border, and we work together. There's a hillside of knapweed up there that we've been working on for a long time. And as you guys know, what does Beaverhead County tell us when they see Ravalli County plates? You better have washed your vehicles before you come to my county. So we work on that. And here we're doing filling up out of the grid ditch because our trucks only hold 400 gallons. So just some pictures there. This is pretty interesting. I think folks will get, and it's going to be hard for you to see. So the county gives us $208,000 to run our program. MDT gives me $27,000 to spray MDT roads. So that helps a little bit. Forest Service, we're over $100,000 that they've given us. And this was the numbers from last year. Under participating agreements, we had Gil Gale, which some of you guys might remember. Mm-hmm. He would help get us grant monies coming through the Forest Service. And now we have Diane Bessler-Hackett, who's working the same thing. And we just did a transfer here with the Forest Service with some money that they were able to bring in for $55,000. So that's what we've started off with this year. Now that money goes to help any kind of weed projects off the forest or landowners that are bordering our forest. And if any of you guys know about the leafy spurge that's up in the Scalcahoe area, a lot of that money is going there. The last thing I want is for our county to look like Missoula County. Here in a few weeks, you'll drive up to Missoula and you'll see these beautiful wildflower yellow hillsides. Not a wildflower, leafy spurge. So that's really tough. We have our weed education program that we had. That was Andrea, one of our 3 employees. I did $136,000 in weed grants.
Wow, good
That's
for you.
on the ground work. Those aren't people sitting in an office typing up papers. That's for on the ground work. So Bitter Wild Control got 21,000 plus. Blue Weed got 22, almost 23,000. Brush Skeleton Weed 50,000. Slow Motion Explosion. I say that and name that grant that because we have a weed in the Grantsdale area we've been working on for 13 years called common bug loss. It is terrible, and it hasn't escaped that area because we've been doing work for every year, getting grant money to hire someone to go help those landowners in that area. We have our Special County Reservation Grant, so that's Department of Ag that gives us a portion of their MDT dollars that they get. So every county gets $7,500. So that helps. And then I did a rush skeleton weed backup. So we have rush skeleton weed on the CB ranch that now we are finding it in different locations in small quantities. Literally, in some places, one weed right outside of Victor right over here was found. So we have someone that helps take care of that. We're in a partnership with the Lee Metcalf Wildlife Refuge. What a wonderful. So we go out there and we work on that, and they help them, they help us, and it's a really good partnership. We have the Birch Family Trust. We have a landowner that donates money to the weed district office, and last year he donated $50,000.
Wow.
And that is to be used to help improve our lands for wildlife because he loves the deer and elk that we have. And so we use that to do it. So a total of my budget is $565,000. Keeping in mind, the county only gives us 2,000 or 200,000. So that's what I bring in for every resident in this county. Every year, I try to increase that. So I just wanted to give you guys some fun facts real quick. I'm standing on this side because I keep bogging that. 1,100 miles of county roads in our county. 1,100 miles of it. This year, we treated 244 acres. So it's like, well, that's nothing on all those miles. Most of those acres are spot treatment. So imagine walking along and finding a weed and you spray that weed. That little bit right there, I might have used 1/4 of a cup. So when we do all of our totaling of these quarter cups on every space that we go, total 244.67 acres. So that's quite a lot. We have 1,800 miles of state highway in our county. We sprayed 473 acres of that this last year. There are 300 miles plus of unincorporated towns. So in Victor, every single roadway and crossway and alleyway, same thing with Florence. All those add up to about 300 miles through that. We pulled with our kids and adults over 220 contractor trash bags of weed this year. Hand pulled, physically hand pulled them out. Our bio kids collected 43,700 SIFOs. On the market, that's worth $65,000. Every one of those bugs are worth $1.50 a piece.
Wow.
We collected and redistributed all those bugs with landowners up and down this entire county. We had over 70 personal land visits. So we go out, if the landowner calls me and says, I got this weed, I don't know what it is, I need help. We'll go out, we walk around their property with them, develop a weed management plan free of charge, bring them all the goodies like what I brought you guys tonight, plus more. We write everything down. Everything needs treated differently. Every weed act's different. You need different chemicals, different modes of action to take care of it. So these landowners are so thankful. That is how we're getting donated dollars, because our landowners think we're wonderful. I wrote 7 grants this year, did all the research for them, wrote them, implemented them, reported on them, and claimed them. And we just got our last bit of money into the county on all of those grants.
Kellyanne, how many of the 7 were state and how many were federal? Were any of them federal?
So 7 of those grants were from the Montana Noxious Weed Trust Fund Council through Department of Agriculture. Yep. So I haven't done any federal grants for like 4 years now. We did just apply for a grant called the WIP grant. It's the Wildlife Habitat Improvement Program. And we did not get funded for that. We've got some things we got to fix up. It was a huge grant. It was almost a $6 million grant that I was asking for. They only have $2 million to hand out across the whole state of Montana, but I thought we could break that up across over a 5-year period. We're going back. We're going to get that money. So,
what are the acres transposed into miles?
Patrick, how do we do that? 443,760 square feet is an acre. That depends on. It depends on how wide you are. Some of our roadways, there's like East Side Highway.
Just give me a ballpark.
I don't even care.
100 miles, is it 500 miles?
So if you think about Highway 93, it might be a 25-foot strip from the side of the road to the fence line. East Side Highway might be a 5-foot strip. So an acre is a measurement of
Size,
space.
yeah.
A mile is a linear distance. So it doesn't.
There still has to be a way to transfer acres into miles, isn't there?
8 feet per mile is an acre.
8 feet.
Per mile is an acre.
Square feet, yeah, that's right.
No, 8 feet wide.
Linear feet.
8 feet wide
Per mile.
5,000.
every mile. There you go.
Thank you, Jen.
But we don't spray that way. We spray when we see weeds. So when the nozzle goes on, our computers tell us exactly where we sprayed. So I'm flipping that switch constantly, on, off, on, off. Oh, I see something. Nope, I don't see anything. So it's hard to tell in there how far that goes.
So a quick
So,
question.
Yeah.
So what percent of the, say, secondary county roads would get a pass every year? Roughly.
Oh, I have something else. Did I bring that? I have a list. I will email to Michelle and have her send to you guys. I had a list that talks about how every road, so we can only get to about a third of our roads a year, just because there's so many. So we have a database going back clear to 2008, I think, that says, these are the roads we treated in 8, these are the ones we treated in 9. And we try to like make sure we hit every road at least one time, once every 3 years, because we just can't get to all the roads more than that. So there are problem roads.
And then you're either a problem road or a primary road gets treated every year.
Yeah, if we can get to it, yeah, exactly. The nice part about it is we have chemicals nowadays for most of the weeds we have in this county that we can go through and treat, and it'll give a residual that will keep things from coming back for a couple of years. So that's a very good tool that we have. But there's some weeds that need treated more than that. We'll get into that part a little bit. So here's a couple things. We have a weed seed free forage inspection program. So who in here uses weed seed free forage? Any of you guys have weed seed free forage where you have your hay field or alfalfa field inspected, where you can have it certified? That way you can sell it. And people, if you go into the forest, you have to take weed seed free forage. You have to. So we do the inspection program for this, and we've made Metric help us many times. How many acres have we walked? I have no idea. That picture on the
program, Julianne.
yeah, the weed seed free forage program.
Yeah. She helped
You have
me
to-
out.
Great.
Julianne was.
Yeah. So we have
Well, I'm the program administrator.
oh yeah, he is the one. I guess I helped him, but before he got here, I was doing it without him. So that's a good thing. We make him take care of the paperwork now. The one picture on the back in June that I won is a weed seed free forage for Trapper Peak Ranch. They have several hundred acres in there that is literally pristine, not a weed. So the weed seed free forage program, if there is one state or county, one, and I'm talking one weed in any of the fields, we have the right to say, nope, we are not certifying this field. And we're talking one. Can you imagine one little oxeye daisy and me saying, oh no, I pick bouquets as we walk through these, because it's just not possible. So we have that program that we do. We have the complaint program. How many of you guys have neighbors that have weeds? Right. So we have the complaint program that you can call me. I give you a form, you fill it out, and then I go and talk with them. Yeah.
I have a question. I was visiting with Larry today, and he wasn't able to come tonight. That was one of the questions that he had is, why is it on the adjoining landowner to get the information to fill it out? Why can't we just say, hey, I've got a neighbor that's really got a lot of weeds, would you go talk to them? Because then the adjoining landowner is the bad guy.
Right. So that has been a question that we've had a lot. There are state laws that tell us exactly how this complaint program has to work. We have to follow those rules. Then we take that to the county commissioners, and they can critique them the way that they want to. And they felt that we needed to have a written with your name on it, because otherwise, and I'll tell you, most people that are complaining about weeds that call me are not complaining about weeds. They're complaining about their neighbor, and they're trying to get their neighbor in trouble constantly. And so when they have to sign their name to a weed complaint, that makes them have to take a little more responsibility. Now, this is what I tell somebody when they call and complain about their neighbor. Have you went over and talked with your neighbor? Have you had conversation with your neighbor and said, hey, I'm working hard on my weeds. Can we work together? And I can tell you that in the 9 years we've had the weed complaint program, I've had one followed all the way through where I had to spray the property. Every single other complaint, huh?
But in mine, it was an absentee landowner.
It wasn't yours. No,
Mine was one of them.
yeah, but it got handled that particular year, and that guy sprayed that property. So he did everything he was supposed to do, and it was completely taken care of. So that was good, but it's a very tough thing, because I'm not out there to have neighbors fight against neighbors. We're out there to have them work together, because I can't take care of all the weeds in this county, and neither can all of us unless we do it together.
What about a situation where you have a new weed that you're really scared of, say, rush scale, or not, say,
Rush skeleton is
no,
one.
I'm
You
gonna say
listed
even
it.
worse, I'm gonna say yellow star thistle.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
so.
But say you see that on a neighboring property, do you have to make that determination, or can we give you the information and then you can go snoop around without
Yes.
us getting involved?
I can do a drive-by anytime I want to. And
So
I
if you know
see
where a
something
bad
there,
weed is.
yep, I can call my weed board, I can talk with my county commissioners, and I can say, listen, I've seen something, it's really bad, I need permission to go and knock on their door. And they will give me permission, because that's my
Yeah.
job to do that. But to go and knock on the door with my badge, I can tell you guys, I would like to wear a badge. It would be so much fun. I would rather do it with a ticket book where I can collect money from people. It's like, oh, you have weed, guess what? Here's your ticket, you know, like you would if you're speeding, right? It doesn't work that way, so I can't do that, but. So then we do the personal land visits as well. And again, when I go visit with the landowner, most of the landowners that call me, next thing you know, I have their neighbor and the next neighbor and the next neighbor. And we're doing land visits with 4 or 5 people on one piece of property. We're identifying weeds, we're talking about what to do with it, and it's time consuming. But those people are taking that information and they are sharing it with their neighbors, and it's just spreading like wildfire. The first year we started doing these, I think I did 3. And now we're doing 70 plus a year, and that doesn't, this is not the ones that Patrick did, because I roped him into this program as well. Our roadside agreement is a program that we run, so if you don't want me and my spray crew to come by and spray in front of your house on the county easement, you can sign up for a program. We get you signs, and our spray trucks will come through and spray right to that sign, and they will not spray until the end sign is there. Because some people are organics or bee farmer or bee honeybees, you know, we want to also help protect, but those people that are signing up for that program have to take care of those weeds in that stretch. If they don't, I will come spray. So, because we don't want to have just one little section of dirty weeds when the rest of the road's cleaned up. We do specialty grant programs. So like I was talking about those rush skeleton weed or buck loss, those are all on the ground for our landowners in Ravalli County. We do education classes. In fact, Patrick and I met today, 3 different classes or 4 that are being worked on. The public's invited to, it most of the time doesn't cost anything, and if so, it's a little bit, and you usually get a snack to go with it. So that always encourages people to come to the meetings. So we do that a lot. Social media education, I encourage you guys all to like the Ravalli County Weed District page. We post all kinds of stuff on there about weed identification and the different things happening around the state, grant opportunities. So there's a lot of that. I also do weed education videos that I wrote a grant for, and these videos are now put across the United States. So we film them most of the time right here in Ravalli County with the professional weed crew, and they are on our website, they're on the county website, they're on our Facebook pages, the Montana Weed Control Association, the Department of Ag, the state education weed program. All these people are using these videos that we're making right here in Ravalli County, or making it famous over weed. So that's good. And then we did the 6th grant plus the 7th grant, which why that number doesn't add up is that county reservation grant of $7,500, which we have used that, worked out an agreement with the commissioners. That helps pay for us to have an education coordinator at our weed office. So that's how we got 3 of us. Myself, Tom is our assistant. He runs our spray program with my oversight. And then we have Andrea, who's our education. So that's how we do that. So those are what we do right there. And these are just some pictures, different classes that we put on. The 4th grade farm fair. I know that we see several faces in here on that. I think we're one of the coolest foods at the 4th grade farm fair, besides that ice cream. That's always fun. Here's our bio kids working on bees. We have become friends with the Bitterroot beekeepers, and I can tell you that has never been that way for until the last couple of years. People don't like me killing their knapweed when it comes to those bees. They don't like it. But now we have this great relationship where I'm teaching them about native plants that are actually beneficial to their bees. And I just did on Saturday a presentation at the Bitterroot beekeepers. So that was super good. We've got conservation days where we went out and did a big weed pull with a whole bunch of Darby school kids. And then here is another picture of conservation days at Lake Como, where we are reaching probably close to 1,500 kids every year with weed education. And what's really cool is when they come back to you later and say, I remember you, and I remember I wasn't supposed to be a pick and flicker. So I didn't cuss, I promise. So pick and flicking is a term that I came up with that's now being dubbed across the whole state of Montana. When you get hound's tongue seeds on you, what do?
Pick and
Pick and flick them off, that's right. So don't be a pick and flicker, right? So the kids love that, and the parents are like, did she just stop? So we work with a ton of different agencies and groups up through the whole county. So our education classes, our grant dollars, all help to put all of this stuff together. So we've dealt with the commercial applicators, Keller Wildlife, all of the schools in the valley, the Montana Weed Control Association, Rocky Mountain Health Foundation, realtors, 4-H, beekeepers, Fish and Wildlife Federation, Bitter Water Farm, Backcountry Horsemen, the DNRC, the MVT, the Fish, Wildlife and Parks, Ravalli County NRCS, the Bitterroot Land Trust. I mean, the list goes on and on. If there's anybody that you guys feel that can benefit with an educational seminar or class, I encourage you to call me, because that is what we do. I have to teach people on how to take care of these weeds, because again, the three of us cannot do this on our own. So the list doesn't stop. We will literally educate anybody that will listen to me. So we'll go through a little bit of the weeds. I only put a few of the new invaders in this because I could be here all night, and I'm sure you guys are so thrilled about talking about weeds. So one thing I wanted to do was define to you the difference between a noxious weed and an obnoxious weed. Okay? There's lots of obnoxious weeds out there. Noxious means that it's placed on a list somewhere, a state or county list, and that we must do everything we can to try to control it. Obnoxious weeds are weeds that are just out there, they're not on a list, they could be poisonous. You know, Western water hemlock is very deadly plant and is a native plant, so it will never be on a list anywhere. It's native, even though it can kill something very quickly. So it has to be a weed that's established by Montana Department of Agriculture, saying that it is considered a noxious weed and we must do something to help control that weed. And I'm pretty proud. Our state has about 32, 34 weeds. You go to California and there's like 400 or 600 weeds on their weed list. I can't imagine having to take care of all that. So these are the new invaders, or they're not widespread in our county. So we have brush skeleton weed, blue weed, Japanese knotweed, orange hawkweed, common bugloss, purple loosestrife, white top, yellow flag iris, kochia, Medusa head, betonata, Dalmatian toadflax, Russian knotweed, yellow toadflax, and perennial pepperweed. Now those aren't widespread in our county. And if you look at that book, out of all those weeds, that's pretty good that we don't have these widespread through our county. So we'll go through just a couple of them really quick. These are ones that are widespread through our county. We have, and it's going to be hard to see, we have houndstone, we have Borealistum, St. John's wort, sulfur cinquefoil, common toadflax, knapweed, Canada thistle, common tansy, oxeye daisy, which is, by the way, the hardest weed it is to convince people that it's noxious, because people collect that and put it on their table. Dalmatian toadflax, field bindweed, and leafy spurge. So those are fairly widespread in our county, but we are getting some control over those. So I'll talk about the first one first. Rush skeleton weed was first found on the CB ranch about 5 years ago. And I panicked. And I called Gil at the Forest Service, because it's like, we don't have rush skeleton weed in our county. Now in Idaho, they've given up on treating rush skeleton weed. It has completely taken over the state. They don't have the funds to control it. And I do not want that way in our county at all. We literally are counting the plants that we have of rush skeleton weed in our county. However, we ended up with one by Victor. We ended up with a patch of 12 plants up by Stevensville in a subdivision. Now get this, that up there in the Stevensville subdivision was growing right next to a power box. So I did a little research. The people that put that power box in were from Idaho. All their equipment was contaminated. Here's the other sad part. My daughter lives in that subdivision, and we had been going on walks every evening, getting fresh air and a little exercise. And I walked past that plant for 2 months before my daughter brings it into the office one day and says, Mom, what's this? I about died. I just didn't see it. It just wasn't in my vision. So we have that. We found a few down where they're filming the Yellowstone, the movie down there. There's a few on the ranch down there. So but we are literally counting these plants. We have to go back every single year, twice a year, and hit any new rosettes that come up. These roots can go 50, 60 feet deep.
Oh,
And every time you disturb that soil, every little piece of root that breaks off starts a whole new colony. Again, Idaho has given up on this plant. It has degraded millions of prime property because this plant has taken over. And I don't want that to happen in our county. So this is off the CB ranch right here. The seeds can travel for 20 miles in the wind. Blueweed. How many of you guys have actually heard or talked about blueweed before? Toxic to animals. Again, this started on a ranch south of Darby when we first found it. We did some tracing of it, and equipment was bought in Spokane, and fencing was done on a ranch in Darby. And that equipment dropped those seeds, started a few plants, and now we have thousands of acres. How many of you guys saw the CB ranch last summer? You looked up on that hill and it was blue. The whole hillside, as far as the eye can see. That's it.
Really?
It totally, you can see right here, this is a road up out of Victor. I think this is Pleasant View. This picture was taken, I want to say about 10 years ago. And it was thick, the whole roadside. This actually came from and started from county roadside equipment when they were going in and paving that road. There was blueweed in a gravel pit in Darby, and they were literally hauling and contaminated seed on the tires or whatever it might be when they started working from that road to this road. And then we had solid blueweed as far as you can see. We are now counting blueweed in our county. How many of you guys have ever, if you did, we did a floating weed pull for a couple years. You guys ever remember hearing that? We threw people in rafts and put them down the river and made them help a handful. It got so big that we couldn't find enough rafts. We had over 100 people the last time we done it. It's like, okay, and they're mad because there's no blueweed to pull. So, you know, it's like, I thought we were on a blueweed pull. So this is a success story that Montana is literally talking about. We are counting our blueweed. So we will continue writing grants. We will have someone on it to help all of our landowners. They work on private side of the fence as well as all of ours. We have blueweed from right where the Bitterroot starts clear to the Stevensville Bridge. We have yet to find any past that point in Missoula County. We don't want it in Missoula. It's like, I don't want your weeds down here. So anyways, that's blueweed. A toxic to animals, spreads very quickly, is mostly a biennial, but we have witnessed it actually go from seedling to bolting flower in 1 year, depending on how stressed it gets. So it's tough. Japanese knotweed is another one that we go and treat. This right here is Main Street of Corvallis. The pharmacy that used to be down there, or the hardware store, it was growing right between there. Then you can see it's growing up over the fence and in this beautiful flower pot that they have. They thought it was pretty. So Japanese knotweed can pop through, grow through 8 inches of concrete. And it will pop your foundation and crack it. And if you don't believe me, you can go up to the hot springs just south of this side of the pass. Not the it's Medicine Hot Springs that's up there. I think Medicine.
Lost Trail.
And so not Lost Trail, but the one just before
Okay,
that.
Medicine.
So they had to redo their pool because of this.
Really?
It cracked their concrete. Their little cabins they had out there, it went through the concrete, up on the inside of the cabins, broke windows to come back out. So we have it in patches, mostly ornamental from old farming, homesteads and whatnot, but it's very difficult to control. You can eat this plant though.
You can.
You can grill it right on up and eat it. It's best when it's about a foot tall. Yeah. Orange hawkweed in the Grantsdale area again, Fish Hatchery Road, all those places. This plant completely takes over and makes mess and chokes out all your grass. So this poor guy right here this is the canal that runs down, can't think of what that road is now. Is it Fish Hatchery? No, Grantsdale Cutoff Road. Yep, right here. So this is, if Rob Johnson was here, he's like, oh yeah, I know that, because he lives on that road. So, very pretty, my favorite is noxious weed, because it's not toxic, but it does choke out. But the flowers close up at night and open during the day and follow the sun, and it looks like the sun, it's so pretty, right? So that is my favorite noxious weed, but it can really cause some havoc. And we do have that scattered throughout our county in small locations. So here's the common bug loss. So garlic helicopters, how many of you guys remember when it was garlic helicopters? So I think it was like my second year at the weed district office. The garlic helicopters had a land manager there that literally took care of the landscaping at the time that business was thriving. And he called me and says, I've been battling this weed for a really long time down here, and I can't figure out what it is. So I get down there, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, you really are battling a problem. So we said, we'll research it, we'll find out what it is, and figure out what to do about it. So we did exactly that. It came back as common bug loss in the borage family, so same as hound's tongue, same as blueweed. But these plants right here, when we started getting there and helping clean up, he had 30 helicopter and flame tails that were lined up in the north field. You couldn't see them. This plant grew over the top of them. So we are down to common bug loss where we're looking for rosettes the size of golf balls or smaller. There, you will not see this plant any longer like that. And it's because we've stayed on it and stayed on it. So we hope to continue helping the landowners free of charge on this particular plant. And if we had not done that, this would be worse than any weed that we have in our county and or in our state of Montana. So the trust fund is like, do it, Kelly, get it gone, keep working at it, and don't let it come back. So I'm pretty thankful for that. Over the years, I think we've gotten about $300,000 over the years just for this one plant, just in the Grantsdale area over the years. So it's rough. Purple loosestrife, we have 7 locations of this in our county, and we did have 6, but we found that one this year on the road. So purple loosestrife grows in the water. Beautiful, often confused with fireweed. Yeah, and fireweed's native and it's good, but it can confuse people. It's in the mint family, but it will literally take over bodies of water, hundreds of acres. If you go back east, you can see this happening there. So we're keeping that down. White top is becoming a very big concern for us in our county. It started out where we had a little bit off of Illinois Bench Road out of Stevensville. Now it is up Scalcahoe. It is down by Darby, behind the Darby Credit Union. And we get calls about it every single year. So why this plant is now spreading across our county isn't from the locations that we had or what was spread, because we found them and worked at treating them. But hay in Lake County is extremely cheap. And the reason why is because your hay is probably 90% weeds. And so they go up, our landowners here go up and buy hay from them, bring it back, feed it their livestock, not to ruin your dinners, livestock poop it out. Next thing you know, you have a patch of white top. And it is very difficult to treat. It takes a specific herbicide for many years on an established patch to get it under control. So it is spreading like crazy. Up Scalcahoe, we have quite a lot of it. Yellow flake iris. Almost every waterway in our county has yellow flake iris, but we're dealing with it in patches like I could almost put your arms around. So when we have time, because we don't have grant money for this one, we will send the crews to go out and treat it. Now, this is not just about going out and showing up with herbicide when you treat this plant. You have to wait till after it flowers. You have to wait until it forms seed pods. You have to pull every single seed pod off of every plant and put it in a bag, and then you have to spray it with an aquatic approved herbicide. Now, this aquatic approved herbicide that works kills everything. So you have to spot treat it, because the last thing you want to do is kill all the good grasses, the native forbs, and everything around it. So very labor intensive. But again, it's in every waterway in our county. So it's a rough one. Like I said, we work on trying to get that one when we can. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is yours truly with one kochia plant. One. I have threatened that I'm gonna cut kochia every year and we are going to sell them for Christmas trees and make some money for the weed district. So this particular picture was when we had plantings in the medians. Remember when they put those medians down our highway? They put all that good dirt in there, planted all these beautiful trees. Now they're concrete. Pretty much from that picture, I think. I like to say that anyways. This was right in the median across from the Mexican restaurant north of Woodside. That filled one truck. That one plant filled the back of an entire pickup truck. So kochia, as you can see, takes over like crazy. It is not on the state weed list. Kochia is purposely planted in the eastern part of Montana and the Dakotas. It's great forage It's got a lot of nutrients for our cattle, and I don't know about horses or not. Do you know, Patrick?
No.
I think mostly cattle, they use
usually
it.
don't try to convince them to use that.
Yeah, horses are a little pickier when it comes to weeds for the most part. So every time the mower goes or trucks go, these seeds collect, they break off, they tumble on the ground like a tumbleweed would, and anywhere you get rid of something, kochia or cheatgrass is going to come back. So unfortunately, we have a lot of kochia. This plant will sprout a whole new crop every time we get that afternoon rainstorm. That slightest little count the drops on the ground, the little thunderstorm that comes in, that will cause this to sprout and we get a whole new crop. The chemical that treats this, you can't spray that many times a year. And you're gonna hear that same story from me for another weed. We are bound by federal laws that you can only spray certain chemicals. You can only put so much out per acre per year. It's just the way it is. Otherwise, you're contaminating the soil, contaminating people's wells, killing things you shouldn't be killing. So we're regulated by that. Kochia is a tough one.
You were just reading Prairie Star, they had an article about kochia where it's the state winner for numbers of herbicides that it's become resistant to.
Oh,
It has a
boy.
really powerful genetic diversity.
Yes, it does.
That and wildlife are tied for multiple herbicide resistances. So
And we do have herbicide-resistant kochia in our valley. So that, it makes it tough. And I can tell you, some of the reasons why plants become herbicide-resistant is because you have the general landowner that can just go right on down to any old hardware store and buy some chemical, and then they just come home and they just put a little in a jug. They have no idea what calibration means. They have no idea how to use that chemical properly. They don't. And I see the smile on a guy right over there. It's like the glug method. If a little's good, more is better, right? That's how it is. People do that. And so that is one of the reasons why some of our plants are becoming resistant. Either you apply too much, you sterilize the soil, or you don't apply enough, it just makes it sick. Their babies are just a little sick. Their babies, next thing you know, that's just in simple terms why some of these plants can become resistant. Horiolistum, this is going to be the topic of the night. I brought you guys books on Horiolistum. So again, like kochia, this plant, every time it rains, brings you a whole new crop, a whole new flush. The herbicide that works best on this is metsulfuron, so common name Escort, for those of you that might know. Its half-life is only 30 days in the soil, maybe 45 depending on your soil. So every time we get that afternoon rainstorm, we get a whole new flush of it. This plant continues to grow every single year, all year long. It will just keep growing taller and taller, and these little seed pods just keep coming up. So it has a taproot, so a handful is really easy. But what's happening is we'll clean a roadside up, and then the neighbor's side of the fence has kochia. So then it recontaminates our roadside, then they get recontaminated, and it's this back and forth thing that we cannot get a hold of. Every time a mower goes down the road, it's pushing that everywhere. And one particular plant can produce thousands of seeds, and most all of those seeds are viable in the soil and for quite some time. So treating this is really hard. We've got to figure out a way to get to the landowners where we can work together on this particular weed, because it will choke out backweed. It will choke out your grasses. It is very toxic to horses. studies just came through that we actually have documented deaths now of what this has done. It will hurt them even in dry hay. So unlike oxeye daisy, it's not gonna hurt anything in dry hay, but this plant will do that. And it is spreading so fast that we cannot keep up with it. You will see it, those little clusters of flowers, this little cluster of flower right there is just maybe between a nickel and a quarter in size. And you will see fields that just are covered in it. But that field or our roadsides, in order to get true control of this plant, has to be sprayed anywhere from 4 to 6 times a year. And we can't do that. You can't apply that chemical that many times a year, or we will be contaminating everybody's wells, we'll be killing trees, we will be applying off-label. And those of you that usually use chemical know that the label says you can do this, and the label is the law. So I believe that for metsulfuron, we're allowed to apply up to 3 ounces a year. And in order to kill this, we need 1.5 ounces every time we apply it. That only gives us 2 times to do it. That doesn't stop it the rest of the 4 months. It just won't do it. So we have to figure out what we're going to do with this plant because it is spreading. We've got landowners that are upset about it because it's coming over there. But I can tell you that most of this plant right here is on private ground. And when we do see it on the roadside, we spray when we can, but we can only do it twice. So the rest of the 4 months out of the year, we can't do it. It has to be mowed or hand pulled or something like that. And as you guys can see with all the other things we've got going on, we just don't have enough employees to get out there and pull every roadside that's out there and everything that's done. But this will be the weed. This will be the weed across Montana. If we don't figure out how all of us can pull together, that they will be talking about us like we do rush scalp weed in Idaho. This will be a failure. I don't know how else to do it, but we will continue to fight it, continue to educate it. But it's a tough one. It's tough, yeah.
On that one, if you mow it, there's enough, what would you say, moisture in the stem to finish developing those seeds, and it replants even if you do mow.
You have that exactly right. There's enough if you mow it before you even see those seeds, if they're right there at the cusp, you mow it, that dead chunk that's laying there, there is definitely enough energy where it will produce its seed and be viable. And the same thing with blue weed and bug loss. It will do the same thing. Yep.
That's why you pull the blue weed, put them in a bag, and then you dispose of it.
You got exactly. That's what we do. These aren't left on the ground. We have to shove them into a bag and take them back to our incinerator and burn them, because if not, you're not getting rid of it. There's so much. So Borealism started in Ravalli County. It started in a field on Bailey Lane. And I went to the weed board and I questioned the weed board. I said, there's a field, an alfalfa field, that has this white flower in it. It's perfectly in rows. So I know it was planted, but I said, I don't recognize it. So the weed board said, nope, you're not going to go up and treat that field. So we didn't. We did some research, found out what it was. That field was cut and baled and sold by the bale around our whole county. But there was nothing I could do about it at the time because it wasn't a county listed weed. It wasn't a state listed weed. It was just a weed. So that's how we have it through our entire county. Now it is spread through western Montana all the way through the rest of the state. And that seed came from Washington.
What year was that?
That was in I want to say that was in 2004. And I finally got it listed on the state list, I want to say in 2008. Yep.
Now I know where my neighbor got it from.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's like I was talking with the beekeepers this weekend. When you're buying your little native seed packet, you can buy anything you want online now, literally. I can go buy blue weed online, I can buy St. John wort, it doesn't matter what it is. You get most of these little seed packets that you buy at Walmart and Home Depots, if you flip over flip it over and read it, you're going to see oxeye daisy in there. Now, Montana law says you aren't allowed to let that come into the state of Montana. We have a whole department through Department of Ag that helps regulate these things. How are you going to regulate every person when they're ordering off of Amazon? You can't. You can't. I got online. I ordered my own weeds because I wanted to plant some right in our research garden. They sent them right to me, not a question. The company didn't question or nothing. It did say right on one of the websites I ordered, not allowed to send to Hawaii, California, Montana, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, they shipped it right on out to me. You can't regulate that. It's so hard. So the best thing we can do is educate landowners, teach them about what's bad and what isn't, and then teach them how to treat it. I think I was here presenting to you guys when the milestone scare was going on. You guys remember when we first started getting milestone, everybody's gardens were dying, their tomatoes wouldn't grow. Remember that, Michelle? You were in the middle of all of that as well. And the reason why is because people do not read the labels of chemical and follow that law that is on that label. When you go to the doctor and the doctor says, go home, take 2 Tylenol, and call me in the morning after you feel good or not good, let me know. He didn't say go home and take 2 bottles of Tylenol, but if you got a bad enough headache, you're going to double dose yourself. Next thing you know, you're sick and you made the problem worse. That's what people do with herbicides. They go down to Murdoch's or to Lakeland or to Senex or Missoula or Walmart, Home Depot. They see a jug of chemical. Oh, I'm going to use some 2,4-D on this. Look. I can tell you that there is not a day that goes by, not one day in my workday or even on weekends through my cell phone, that someone calls and says, I'm putting this chemical out. How much do I put in my sprayer? I bet some of you guys have done that. How much do I put in my sprayer? If I'm spraying Milestone and I have a little backpack sprayer, how much should I put in there? I made a funny YouTube video that we share on our Facebook page that says, I just need to know how much chemical to put in my sprayer, please. I'm only spot treating. So I'll tell you guys a quick story and then we'll wrap it up for the night. We did a very fun open house thing at Lakeland one year, their customer appreciation days. And we set up a calibration plot with a backpack. And we advertised, Lakeland advertised for us, the Weed District's going to be here to help you calibrate your equipment. Perfect. So we get down there, we set this up, and here comes this guy. His head is hung low, and he's dragging his backpack in. And he says, I need help. Apparently I need help calibrating my backpack because I've killed my wife's lawn. His whole lawn. So I said, okay, let's put your backpack on. We'll put some water in it, and you show me how you sprayed those weeds. So he pumps the pressure up on one of these backpacks, and he sprays. And I'm not exaggerating. He sprays. And he takes a couple inch step forward.
Just like painting, right?
He did. Okay. So I let him do that for about 5 minutes. It took him less than that as he's standing there trying to figure out. He only has 3 gallons of water on his back. And I said, okay, now I'm going to put your backpack on. We're going to put some more water on it. So here's how you should spray. And I walk along and I'm calibrating his pepper. His face drops, chin drops. I said, all right, so let's figure out what you were putting out per acre. And we'll figure out what I was putting out per acre. He was putting over 700 gallons of water per acre. 700 gallons. When I sprayed it, I was putting 17 gallons per acre. Okay? So imagine how much work and how many times he had to fill that backpack up to cover his wife's lawn. Not only that, but he just went with his chemical. So he was actually using 2,4-D on his property, and he did not have lawn for 3 years over just 2,4-D. He literally should have just sprayed straight chemical, completely done. You know what the rate is on 2,4-D? Average rate? 2 quarts per acre. But nobody knows that they need to calibrate. So when you hear bad things, you know, the Weed District's out there putting all these toxic chemicals out, we're doing it in a respectful, knowledgeable way that is helping the environment and not hurting it. And then you have landowners. Now that's where I'd like my badge. I'd like to go into the chemical store. I actually do that for fun. I'll stand in Home Depot and you have 2 people talking about, oh, I think I get this chemical. I heard about it. And I'll say, oh, how much of that are you put out that breaker? Oh, I don't know, I just put a little in. And then I let loose on them, that's how much I got. So,
If you're looking to educate, that might be a great video to do. This is how you calibrate.
we do a video, we've done it,
And
yep.
then you do a cheat sheet.
We have that
Okay,
too.
at this ratio, this is the amount of chemical, of whatever.
Yep, we definitely have that.
That isn't more out there.
So we have it at Extension, we have it at Weed District, we have it in the feed
You
stores.
better get it in the paper. The stars.
You
about
can't-
the
you
only
can't.
paper anybody's reading.
Yeah, you can't put that in the paper. It's like 4 or 5 pages. It's not something the paper would not allow us unless we wanted to pay lots of money. So we do calibration articles. We have Weed of the Week article that we put out with the Ravalli Republic every single week in the summertime. We have the Roots Chronicle that we do, that the Star is actually printed for us, and we put information there. We have information at all the feed stores where all the chemicals are being sold. We talk about it at land visits.
I guess I better look.
Yeah, it's a great product.
So the answer is that we try, including the end of April, we're having another Saturday field day where we're spending our whole day Saturday trying to teach people about that.
Yeah.
So if you got nothing better to do, come on down.
Yeah.
Send me that information and I'll send it to you.
We offer classes all summer long that teach you how to use your herbicides and pesticides appropriately and safely, so that way we can make a good difference. And we put it on our Facebook pages. The county website offers that. Patrick's got a Facebook page that he runs. They've got a website that's there. Caitlin tries to load stuff up too. We are getting that information out everywhere we possibly can, but again, there's only a couple of us. How much can a couple people do? So we gotta rely on all of you guys.
People don't want the information.
That's true. They don't want it until they have a problem. They don't care about how pretty a weed is until they have an animal die. They don't.
One more
Yeah.
question. When is the last time like at the trailheads you have, watch for these weeds? When's the last time those were updated?
So that was done with a grant about 8 years ago. And it was a one-time grant that the Department of Agriculture has given us. We printed them up. And they need to be updated, but we don't have the money to do it. Those are metal signs that cost about $35 a piece to have done. So, but we work with the state education campaign, and we do adopt a trailhead program. So we have in our county right now, which I'm pretty proud of, we have 3 trailheads that are adopted. So the backcountry horsemen go up and they hand pull and they treat weeds, and the weed district assists on Saturdays. And we go up and help them at the trailheads and try to clean the weeds up along the edges, because people unload their horses, walk through a weed patch in the parking lot, and the next thing you know, they're doing it up in the hillside and it spreads around. So we definitely do that. Yep. 3 of our trailheads are adopted, and the new signs, a lot of them, there's a lot that are still there, but a lot need to be replaced. In fact, I had a Forest Service guy just come to the office about a month ago. So this sign's been shot up. So can you get me a new one? I don't have any more to give out, but we'll definitely work on figuring out how we can keep that information there. They're at Lake Como where people recreate. But again, just like Michelle said, unless it's something that bothers you, you aren't going to notice it. When I go tell them, oh, you have a home field, I was like, no, those are my wildflowers. No, I like those. It's very hard to convince somebody until that takes over their whole field. They're not going to do anything about it until it actually affects them. So with educating you guys, and if you go out and educate other people about what was going on, if you know of any groups that I can talk to, we've done, I don't know, over the years, we've done, the thousands of different visits with every kind of group you can think of. The little kids down at the library in their reading sessions we've done. You know, if I can target them, we will target them. Any way I can get money, I will try to get money. There's been a couple of legislative things that's come through where things don't, it's hard to get bills passed. People don't want to pay more taxes. We're being taxed to death. But at the same time, when you have a program like this, we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for taxes. We wouldn't be able to help people. So I get it. I don't want to pay any more taxes. But at the same time, how do we take care of what we have? How do we protect Montana? Someone told me the other day that Montana is still the largest, see if I get this right, the largest agricultural producing state? Is that,
Yeah,
no?
not even a chance.
One of our biggest revenues?
Yeah.
It's
The largest industry.
Yeah,
It's
for
our
sure.
biggest
Yeah.
income generator. So imagine if all of our fields were full of this. It's not going to be an income generator anymore. And the new thing on the horizon, which Patrick might be able to talk better about this than I can, is the hemp. So apparently it escapes. So it doesn't just grow where you plant it. So that's gonna be my new thing, is I'm gonna have to start spraying hemp. So, I mean, it's probably good. I don't have anything against it. I don't care about it, but
Can't you
people
pick it and
aren't
sell it?
educated.
Is it a revenue?
yeah, there we go. Maybe I can do that.
It's
You know-
really the male plants that are the problem with this scenario.
The male plants with this in it. So that's just gonna be another thing in the weed world that we'll have to watch, because a really nice person's gonna have a really nice crop that generates money. Our job isn't to impede what they're trying to do with their property. We don't wanna tell them they cannot make money on their property. But I can tell you, if all that stuff starts spreading out of there, the neighbor's not gonna be happy, and the next thing you know, you're gonna have a lawsuit. So there's a happy balance there somewhere. All I can tell you guys, and I'll end on this note, is I definitely have job security. Definitely, yes.
Joanne, I meant to pull your budget today and I didn't get it done. There were questions asked last month with regard to the breakdown on your budget. Do you happen to know off the top of your head what your operational, out of that 200,000?
So that 200,000, I can't do it. That pays our electric bill, pays our fuel, pays for chemical, pays for employees. It pays for everything, 209, I think, 208,000. And that's went up a little bit this year,
Just 3 full-time employees.
just 3 full-time employees. And $7,500 of those 3 employees come from a grant from Department of Ag that helps that. So we have to give that up in order to have that full-time employee. And people say, what do you do in the wintertime? I'm not stopping. Here I am this evening talking with you guys. It happens all year long. I'm either writing grants, administering the grant, working the grant, spraying roadsides, educating. It just doesn't stop. I am in trouble with personnel at the county because I have to take 122 hours of vacation time by the end of March, and I can't do it. Otherwise, I donate it. I don't mind donating.
Are you asking for the extension?
I'm gonna ask you for the extension. And then that gives me a few months to use it, but you want me to share, Patrick? Exactly. It's just one of those things. You get into this and realize how important weeds are, and you want everybody to know about it. You want everybody to learn about it and do things the right way. And I will spend the rest of my life teaching people about weeds and the right way to do it. It's just that important. And people that have horses and people that have cows understand this. You people in this room understand what we're up against and what we're battling. So all of you that can help me, again, I'll talk to anybody that will listen to me. And I'll pull Patrick in. I've done it numerous times. We have resources across the state. We have folks that will travel from Billings to come over here. If you're sick of hearing my voice, we'll give you someone else's voice. So, any other questions?
Great presentation.
How long did I talk? Patrick's like, make this quick. No, no, he was good.
You're a first slide.
Yeah, there we go. So again, I'm sorry, I do this every time to Patrick. He's like, Alicia. No, we are moving. Our current weed district office, the office is an 18.5 foot by 18.5 foot square with 4 desks in it.
Wow.
Our kitchen's in our bathroom, or maybe our bathroom's in our kitchen. I don't know what and I've been complaining to the commissioners for about 7 or 8 months. I'm very thankful. They came up, they've watched, they've looked at what we're dealing with up there. We have 2 bays. We just got approved and purchased the old Victor Fire Hall. So we will have 7 bays, a conference room that I can teach people in. It has a kitchen, so I can make them cookies if I want to. And we'll have a native garden out there. Our biocontrol kids will have insectaries, so the public can come and collect bugs from us and take them home and put them on their property for no charge. So we are super excited, and hopefully, if everything goes the way we want, by about April-ish, we should be in there. It's very exciting. I'm going from about 1,100 square feet total to 5,400 square feet. And I won't have to be on the phone when my spray crew is in the bathroom, which I can hear very well. So that'll be very good. I'm excited about it. So I hope you guys come and see us once we get that building the way we need it. That we got to do some things to make it work for the wheat district, but minimal. And we're going to have an open house, and I would love you all to come and do a tour and look at what we have and see our new building. And it will be so much better to invite the public, like what she was saying, get that information out there. So that way people can come and being in Victor, it's not up on the east side, will be a little more central for our landowners in the county. So yay!
Fantastic.
All right, I won't talk anymore. Thanks, you guys.
You.
That reader board is going to stay there. And we are going to use it in conjunction with the fire hall. Yep, so you'll see, new week to watch and fire broke out over here. Yes. Yep, and the rest of the community, any kind of activities that are happening, will be able to go on that board as you guys have been doing all this time. Yep. Yay. All right. I'll let you guys have your meeting, then I'm gonna head home for the night.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you. Do I have it? Oh. I'll turn all this off. You guys can finish your meeting. I'll close all this. I can email you this presentation, you betcha.
Haven't heard anybody talk that many words in that short time.
Nope, that's Louis. Yep. And you have it?
However, she was joking because I told her to be quiet, but I invited her to a class one time to speak for 1 hour. And an hour and 45 minutes later,
They were also.
I was like, hey, there's still another hour of stuff we're trying to do.
For your listeners.
That's funny. I love that.
Yeah.
Somebody who can make weeds exciting.
That's exactly right, exactly right. Al, you got this letter here?
And they
Get
bring
that
out
off.
the damn thing every year.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Those seeds are like that big and they're angular. So they catch on everything and they will literally spread everywhere.
And you have, a letter for us to do too, huh? Al?
Yeah, I'll,
Now, if you zoom into this, see the little black spots on it?
this is the latest thing, put it on the internet. So-
Right.
But somebody, let's see, Michelle may want,
Can cause severe rash, toxic can,
and,
can pull it, bag it.
anybody else, I've just got a few copies. It's the 8th page with the checklist on the back. So we talked about, and I had very little comment about it. Apparently, people figure it's about where it should be.
Yeah, I, again, if you get more than that, they don't, I mean, this is something they might go through.
And then Joanne had mentioned something about talking to a realtor. And,
Yeah, you're talking about funds, money for it, so I just called a realtor out, just to see what they
Yeah,
had
and I was.
their standpoint, and he said that they would be interested. He thought
If you want extra.
In funding it?
they're not getting back to them or whatever,
Right, right.
but, Craig Cyphers is the sheriff of the Board of Realtors.
Okay.
And this realtor said that, you know, even though the local listings are now all over, instead of being limited to Ravalli County, they are everywhere. Western Montana.
Yeah, do something now.
But there's still a Board of Realtors here, and he thought that they could, might go get the money, you know. I don't know.
well, what I thought it might do is that once you guys agree on the cover letter, you could email it to me. I printed off, I've got some printed at UPS to get some printing done. I would do enough of these, send one to each of about 30 of the realtors in the county, and I'll donate my envelopes and stamps to get it done. And get it out, and then if you request from them either to be sure their clients get a copy of this, they can run their copy machines and hand it out to newcomers or to people that are switching around the county. And maybe even beg for some money to do a fancy copy, as plain Jane as you can get. So it's kind of up to you, the officers, to put together that letter, and I would put that on top of this and mail it out.
What are some key points that you think ought to be included in that letter?
Well, just that it's made available to people who are inquiring about purchasing land or looking at land, because even the realtors themselves don't cover all this stuff when they're talking to a client, because they don't have time probably, they don't think of it. But that's the reason, put a checklist on the back, because it's amazing the number of things that people skip over and sign the documents and then crap about it afterwards, because there's hogs next door, or weeds. Weeds is a big one, or they drill for water and can't find any, which, you know, people jump in on stuff, so, but I shouldn't be composing that letter, that should come from you guys. And then, in that case, can the commissioner's what do you have for an address? Would it be the commissioner's office?
Yes.
Okay. So it could go on county letterhead, I suppose. Because it's coming from a subset of the county.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll wait for that, and then once I get a copy, an official
This is the
copy.
county address
I'll
right
just
here,
crank them
I
out.
think, 215.
The letter that you would like us to include with that, you're looking for a letter of support from the board, or are you looking for an overview letter to the realtors? Like,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
specifically?
it'd be a
Cover letter.
request from the Right to Farm and Ranch Committee that people are not always well informed, and that this should be
Okay,
in their rack, in their office, handed out to everybody.
And to every realtor that works there.
Yeah,
Should have a
yeah, they
copy.
can, if they get one set, I've given this a few sets to people, and I don't know that they're distributing or even looking at them very much.
I think you're right. That's been my experience. Well, what does that say? Well, that says that I'm not supposed to disclose your information. Okay. And then, so it happens, isn't it? I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So what is your 30, is the 30 realtor offices?
Well, I'm just going by the phone book.
Okay.
So
Not
there's about 30, 35.
businesses.
Yeah.
And then they have maybe 100 realtors per business.
They'll have, some of them have 10 or 20 in there, and they can run their copy machine.
Okay. So, Michelle, what would this lend itself to the ag quarterly?
they won't publish this many pages.
No, it's a bit too long.
The
Maybe the back,
promotion of the,
Oh, the intro?
Yeah.
Yes, I can figure something out about that.
the back page checklist might be about what they'll accept, maybe.
Yeah, I think 500 words.
Yeah, they're pretty short.
So yeah, that's a really good idea, actually, and I was looking for ideas to write out,
Yeah.
so that might be something we can.
that could actually say that these are going out to our,
Right, so please check with your local real estate agent, and get, some information or whatever. Maybe we can,
do a little promotion maybe or something. What do you think?
This would be, Ravalli County Commissioner's letterhead.
Correct.
From them.
Yeah,
Then let me write that
county
down.
letterhead. Well, whatever's legal, I don't know.
Yeah, county letterhead is not commissioner's letterhead necessarily.
Yeah.
Even not someone that, farm around.
When the time comes, you can get a hold of me.
Can we have your badge number, Kelly?
Okay.
You want my
Yeah,
badge
so-
number?
Yeah.
54 weed, WEED.
I like it.
Call me with any questions. I'll have to get you presentations, copies of the presentation.
Thank you for,
And I just heard you guys talk real quick about realtors. We educate the realtors too. For the ones that need credits, we have a course that they can take.
Yeah, I mentioned the weed district in here and the fact that people, one of the things when you're buying, be alert to that and in the management once you acquire the land.
Yeah, so when you sign your paperwork, there's a paragraph about this big, talks about weeds, and I can tell you most realtors just cross right over, it. Yep, you might have noxious weeds on your property, boom, and then they move right to the next thing, and they sign their name at the end of that 45-page document.
It gets a lot of sell land, not just weeds on it.
Well, they can sell it, it just is all it is a warning
Has to be
that
disclosed.
says you may have noxious weeds on your property. So they can sell it that way. I got my daughter's realtor real good one day because he overskipped it when I was sitting in there with her when she was signing her papers. And I looked at her, and she looked back at me, go ahead, Mom. I got that realtor real good. I said, whoa, 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 back up. What was this? You skipped over right here. Oh, it just says that you might have weeds. And I look back at my daughter again. She looks at me, she's like, go ahead, Mom. And I said, okay, I'm the county weed coordinator. And this is not how we should be talking about land that has weeds on it. There's a reason why that's in there. And yes, it's a big document and a lot to read. But you as a realtor that's selling this piece of property should be knowing what is on that property when you sell it. It doesn't say that realtor is going to get in trouble unless the landowner wants to file a lawsuit and sue their realtor. It can happen. Because if it's not disclosed, but that little paragraph fixes the problem. So again, that's one of those legislative things that folks are working on, trying to figure out how to really critique that wording so you can use that to make sure you're not buying land with noxious weeds on it. I can talk all night. I gotta go. You guys are telling me to get out of here. So thanks. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. A couple of things, this realtor mentioned a couple of things that he finds that are problems. And one of them's addressed in here, and that is that people think that their roads are going to be maintained when they're private roads.
Yeah.
They don't
The whole
understand.
front page
They
is
don't,
that.
yeah, so you've got that. But the
Yeah.
other one is about, understanding that just because a ditch runs across your place doesn't mean that you have a
Water.
water right in it.
thank you, Lynn.
And it also means that if somebody else has the water rights, they do get to maintain, they do get to come on your property and appropriately maintain and bring
Right.
machinery and so on, and that really isn't addressed here, I don't think.
I mentioned easements, especially, those 40-foot easements that were done in 1905. The whole east side is full of them, unless you abandon them, that somebody can, like happened with Reynolds, they just bulldoze their way through it because, oh, it's an easement that's dedicated to the public. Nobody knew about it. And the other one, of course, being the underlying mineral rights. I still have not gotten a really good answer. Who owns the mineral rights underneath it? Is it Anaconda Company
No,
or?
we own it if we own it, and if we have given it up, somewhere along the way it's been given up, then it belongs to whomever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
Some
think
of us-
there isn't a pat answer to that.
No,
No,
some of
it's
us
sticky.
own,
It depends on the property.
yeah,
some of us own our mineral rights.
yeah.
And some of our property, it was already,
If your property was ever foreclosed on, you very likely don't own it.
or somebody previously
Yeah.
sold
And
it or lost it or let it go before you got the land, well, then you don't have it. But other than that, we have from the get-go, we
Yeah.
have it.
In this county, it's not terribly important until you get to gravel. That's the one mineral that could get you in trouble. And in the rest of the state, we run into that being on the land reliance. That oil, gas, and all that, people pay attention to that. Gravel, they don't. And if somebody decides he's gonna build or contract with a highway builder and comes onto your land, what do you do about it?
Surface rights.
Yeah, yeah. The other one I got, I'll just hand this out, we're talking about the, I think I've sent this to some people. One is, it's just kind of a matter of, politics happening. We might have presidential votes in Ravalli County, and that's included on the backside is the summary of Ravalli County personal income. And I think people are a little jolted to realize we're a poverty county, and yet we get almost $2 billion, 1.9 came in 2018. And then go down to agriculture, our total farm income is 2.4% of the valley income. And, logging, timber, and so on, about 1.8. Healthcare, as you can imagine, is up around 12-15% of the county economy. But it's something to take a look at. And of course, remembering that agriculture spends that money, so there is a multiple of about 3.5 that goes with that. But at any rate, I hear people saying, well, get rid of the government. But if you look at the source of our income, we probably don't want to get rid of the government.
Let's go back to what Joanne said. I think that would be, that is a necessary one. That, we had Judge Lint at a water meeting, and she was careful of her recommendations, but that one of the topics was, do I have a right to clean my ditch? Because I went up to clean my ditch, and the landowner told me that.
Yeah, and this is mentioned. That they
But
have
where
right
at?
away.
Where at though?
It's in the water business here someplace.
But on this checklist, maybe.
Yeah, it could be added for that. Let's see.
There's one on right in the middle where it says, do you understand the laws about streams and canals on your property?
Yeah,
I wonder if it should say ditches. Ditches, streams, and canals.
pardon?
I wonder if it should say
Ditches.
about streams, canals,
Yeah,
and
it could
ditches.
be, yeah, it could,
So he does have on here, in the about water, sewer, electricity, it says if the water is provided by spring located off your property, you have an easement allowing you to access and repair it. If you know, like he has talking about the easement that Joanne had asked about. And I mean, that has it here, and you may not be able to drill a well or have real access to a water supply without getting approval from the water court, et cetera.
yeah, I think I've got
He
that
has all of
covered,
that
because you,
information. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
No.
Or you're talking
What are you
about,
talking about?
ditch cleaning.
Maintaining
Yeah,
a lateral ditch.
Yeah,
Correct. Correct. That is it's your ditch because it's your point of diversion, but often your point of diversion is in somebody else's property.
yeah,
The ditch leaves the point of diversion in that somebody else's property, goes into somebody else's property, maybe 2 or 3 times before it comes into your property.
Right.
And you have the right that seems like nobody can find to maintain that ditch in a reasonable manner. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to go cause your neighbor problems or leave a big spoil pile or something like that, but
You can have a certain
right, you have
width on either
a
side of the waterway.
yeah, I don't know if that's specified, the width, because that may vary with the land ownership,
It's-
with the ditch company.
well, yes, and I'm actually talking about your ditch or my ditch, Alan. And it seems to be ambiguous with like
Yeah.
10 feet on each side or something like that, where you can turn your tractor around or do something like that. Al, what do you know about something like that?
I'll look it up, I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
if you-
definitely it is specified. So,
if there's something specific before I start printing it, why, maybe you could get the
I'll
word
work on
to
it
me,
when I
yeah,
get home.
yeah, because this is kind of a working document, it will continue to be changed all the time, but, I think that,
That's a good one.
the pressure has kind of been on that there's enough extra activity in the valley now that it's probably about time that the word goes out, because the old publications if they're still around, or, you know, some parts are more out of date.
What happened in our example was, the landowner where the ditch went through the property had been there quite a while, actually. He'd been there probably since the late 70s. But the ditch was not his ditch. It belonged to another piece of property. And that piece of property hadn't bothered to clean it for 20 years or so. So the new one wanted to go up and clean it, and that's where the rub was, that you don't have the right to do that. Nobody else does it or whatever. Anyway, it became an issue, but they did have the right to do it. But actually, it's kind of, you got to get if you can't communicate like Kellyanne wants saying, then it's lawyer time, and that's sad, but.
Yeah.
Lots of times those costs are they got pretty big.
Exactly, and that's what they don't want cut down or whatever.
Yeah.
So thank you, Al, if you would do that.
I will. Yeah.
And on January 25th, he had his 85th birthday.
What?
84th.
84. Oh, you're just a kid then, I got you beat.
Well,
We're happy to be around.
We're happy you are too.
I'm wondering, if, the Bitters Valley Board of Realtors has meetings, they have regular meetings, and I'm wondering if we should go and present this to that whole meeting and say, this is what we're doing, we're the Ravalli County Farm and Ranch Board, or Wright Farm and Ranch Board, and we have created this publication and would like you to use it, to be basically a leader of knowledge in your dealings with the public. And I don't know how to say it necessarily. I'd have to.
Yeah, are they meeting as a board of realtors anymore, or what? Because I heard that it was supposed to be stopped.
I actually am
that's not what the realtor says, because
Yeah.
they're the same
Yeah.
board,
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
their employees are
presenting to
different.
them.
Yeah, well, you're the officers of the Right to Farm and Ranch Committee, so you should make up your tactics to go talk to them then, because this is just something to give them or to present to them. And, I'm not a member, so I shouldn't be pushing that part of it. It's you as officers that may have to do that. That's probably a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Chris.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to bring it up and give a kind of an overview of the project before the board. Be easy to get on the agenda a couple of weeks in advance, and when you're ready, I think the commissioners would appreciate it.
What we may want to do is get it mostly ready so we're satisfied with it, go make a presentation to them and ask for their input
And letterhead.
if they see anything that they would like included, or,
That'd be a good practice.
I did give it to both the other commissioners that were very interested in it, and I know that they took time to at least scan it. I did tell them that the board would appreciate it if they had any input on it. We've had a pretty slammed last couple of weeks, and I don't know whether it just slipped off their radar or not, but that's one of the reasons I'm saying, come up and run it by the board, and that's a good time to talk about putting it out on letterhead, get their attention here. So it's one thing for me to tell them, it's another thing for it to be on the agenda and have you in front of us.
Another thing we could tag team, there's a lot of seeds that are carried by water. And whenever you disturb the soil on a ditch bank, you've got weeds that come first. And if that landowner doesn't take care of the ditch, and the ditch owner can't get access to it, and that's probably not what they're gonna maintain, is weeds. But I mean, needs to be educated and brought up that it's
Well,
all encompassing.
yeah, so then does the person that cleans out the ditch now responsible for the weeds?
No.
On the other person's
He's
property? Like, do you
responsible
really wanna
to-
talk about that?
Your water commissioner's job ends at the weir. And the weir should be in pretty close proximity to the head gate. And so if he has 100 inches of water to get to his property and he has to go a quarter of a mile to get there, then his main interest is having a ditch clean enough to convey the water. And so he's not, this is my opinion, he's not liable for the noxious weeds on the ditch bank, but it'll affect him eventually by,
So if you're the owner of the ditch, water right, and you go out there and you clean out the ditch so that you can get the water, maybe it's too reedy, it's got, yellow flag iris or whatever, and so you take a tractor through there and you dig all that out of there and put it on the side of the bank. Like, who's responsible for that?
If you don't want weeds, you just reseed it.
Right.
And if you're okay with having weeds, you don't reseed it. Because the landowner wants it.
Right.
well, what are you saying, Alan? The
I'm saying if you go work on your ditch and
You spray
disturb
it
a
out.
bunch of stuff, it's in your best interest to spend extra
it
money to
is,
reseed
it is because.
whether or not whoever has
Right.
the
Right.
whatever.
Right.
It's amazing the difference it'll make too. If you throw down just a little seed if you work on a ditch.
Well, and how much water capacity you have if you have a a root mat underneath there too, it increases that.
Yeah,
You actually don't lose much water.
and statewide. I think.
Correct. But that would be a courtesy thing. It would, yeah.
But that shouldn't be something that's in the publication.
No, but well, as long as we're presenting in front of the county commissioners, we could vent about different things. We could start.
No, we're
No?
Ask for an hour. I would be involved.
A weed.
You get on the agenda as many times as you want.
Don't just start being at lunch.
Well, I think that is a good suggestion. So now, is the committee, members all have a name of Alan?
Have a what?
Have a name of, are all the Allens on the water cover letter committee? That was a joke. Anyway, we do need somebody to draft a cover letter or include points and work together to get, or we could have a motion to present, and like to say, fine tune it to where we can go to the board of realtors. And it sounds like Craig would help us unite.
That's what I was told,
Well, I think he would be a good contact.
by a second party who could speak for him, maybe.
And that's what Craig do.
Craig Cyphers.
Oh,
So I would move that we go visit with the county commissioners, get on the agenda and explain this project to them with their blessing and see if they want to have any input.
And print it on county letterhead, maybe?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that, the farmland board present, in front of the county commissioners on on getting updated right to farm ranch committee of Ravalli County, how do you wanna say that?
That Dan moved that the Ravalli County Right to Farm and Ranch Board presents to the county commissioners the Living in Ravalli County publication with the checklist. And just leave it at that.
Just leave it at that.
Any discussion? Discussion? Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Same sign? Passed.
Now, I want to bring up one thing that's just, it's something that's floating around. When we first started, we were a committee. We are not a committee anymore. We are a board. So those two things often get, but we are the Right to Farm and Ranch Board.
But we can make a committee.
We can make a
To-
committee within the board.
That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to do.
But I'm just saying that, yeah, that term
Get flipped around,
gets flipped
kind of
around.
like democracy.
Well, yeah, when we're referring to this this body in general, we are a board.
So, question for that, because I didn't, was not paying attention to get clear enough. Who exactly is it that's gonna present to the county commissioners? Was that a generic we that's not gonna get anything done, or is that somebody specific?
Sounded like anyone named Alan.
Well, that was the committee. We are,
No,
we,
you said that was just a joke, man.
no, it wasn't, Alan. You have selective hearing already? I thought you had to be so old.
Selective hearing.
Yeah, that's better. Anyway, back to Michelle's point, we as a board, should meet in front of the county commissioners, but getting us all together probably isn't realistic. So.
I guess it depends on what time and dates are available with the county commissioners and stuff. Do you guys do doodle polls?
Do what?
Doodle polls?
No, we don't. I think what you need to do is just get together, decide, and delegate someone to call Chris Taggart. Figure out when there's an open hour on the commissioner's schedule. It's not hard to find one. That should work for you.
Okay,
Get a series of dates, but keep in mind that those dates,
yeah, they fill up as fast
they
as
fill
possible.
up. So get a hold of whoever it is that's going to be delegated to present, or all of you, as many of you as can make it,
Yeah.
and settle on that date and just show up. Chris is real easy to work with in terms of telling you what, maybe what looks like a slow day right now, and you've got this many openings. We're pretty flexible.
That's fine. I just think that we should have a presentation if we're gonna go there and not just show up and talk. Like, it should be professional. That's me.
Who would you like to be on your committee?
I'll do it if that's the case, but I think we should have somebody that's gonna present to them and then report back to the board, this is what happened, these are just adjustments that we need to make. And then the next month go and present to the Better Valley Board of Realtors, and then maybe the next month we go and present to the Clear Building Industry Association. Like, there's lots of ways to get information out there, but it has to be focused and purposeful, or it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yes.
Figure out a day. Get out a week or two in advance if that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Call Chris, figure out a date and a time, call Chris. If you're 2 weeks out, chances are you're gonna be able to get the slot you want.
Okay.
If not, an hour either side.
Yeah.
You can do that flexible.
are we, as a point of clarification, and I'm not, are we elevating this idea to a project?
Been a project for 3 years.
Correct, it has. So, but Alan has brought it to completion with the exception of,
Minor adjustments.
right.
Yep.
And so, what you just said brings another level. It doesn't,
It takes it from theory to practice. I
right.
would like to see that.
Okay, thank you. So we're not asking for more, we're asking for this information to get
Public.
out.
Yeah.
Out and commented on and all
What's
Well,
that?
And then you're gonna want some kind of mechanism to keep it updated as people make changes to
Yeah.
it. So
that. And
if you document that.
hopefully maybe, get a little fancier published, like
Sure.
it has in the past. Because I think those were worthwhile
And
at the time.
are there copies of that somewhere? Does the extension office have one or something that? They
The
work
Ravalli
really
Republic has
nice.
quite a few of them.
The what?
Ravalli Republic
Oh,
has like maybe 500.
They're old ones.
Yeah, like when I feel like we had a conversation about this about a year and a half ago, and they said, yeah, we got like 500 left.
Yeah, I haven't seen it lately, so I don't.
Well, I think it's because it's sitting in a box in the basement somewhere.
Which version do they have?
Probably an original one.
Multi-page thing?
I mean, yeah, it's like a little glossy magazine-ish.
Oh, the what?
Yeah.
So there was one that was about, what, 50 pages or 40 pages?
it had pictures and a nice
Yeah.
cover. It wasn't newspaper print.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like glossy magazine-ish. But
And most of the stuff in that's probably still relevant.
Yeah,
Right.
it could be distributed. I mean, it's better than having nothing.
It's
out
just
on
that
the
it
rack.
was too much, it was too big, it was
Yeah.
a magazine.
I'm looking at the website right now, and there's any number of places where it could be plugged in to the county's website.
Cool. I think that we need to decide who's gonna present and then figure out how long it's gonna take for that person to feel comfortable going over the information and creating a presentation, and it's probably gonna be 2 weeks at the minimum. I would imagine. And I guess maybe this isn't, maybe we talk, or Alan had mentioned that we all bring things to decide, what the purpose is gonna be for the board this year, and maybe this fits better in that section of our meeting tonight, rather than right now trying to decide it. Maybe I just let it go. The problem is that we've let this go for a long time, and it's not going anywhere, and it needs to go somewhere. But I'm fine with it just being later in the meeting, so, don't mean to overstep. But it's like 9:00.
Yeah.
Well, we,
10 minutes, so.
that is the next thing though, isn't it, Alan? The project?
Yeah, and I think it's probably gonna need to be tabled till the next meeting, so there's no way we're gonna
Yeah, determine focus.
Talk
in
about
5
it.
minutes.
Okay,
talk
that,
about,
that's,
I mean, if everybody brought 3 ideas to the table. we'd get 3 more.
okay, then the thing that could be addressed is this cover letter though. Cover letter and a presentation to the county commissioners. Yeah, this doesn't have to be a finalized presentation though, does it? To go to the county commissioners?
Well, I think it should be our practice presentation for what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I think it should be. I mean, not necessarily finalized as far as this goes, but how we present to people in the public, I think we should kind of have an idea.
Are we gonna do this at a meeting and, or are we going to let a committee?
That's, yeah.
That's the question.
Okay,
I'd say
everybody,
for the sake of silence, why don't we not have a speaker or a guest for March and devote 2 hours to do it in March?
Doesn't seem like it's gonna take us that long.
It's a great idea, but back to the year and a half that we've been sitting on this, nobody comes forward, and I don't really feel comfortable
I'm
to.
happy to do this. I have said that, and I'm gonna say it again.
Okay.
So I would love to go present this to the county commissioners and to the real estate agent and to everybody else that we want to do it to. I do not have a problem speaking in public, and I don't have a problem educating people. So I would love to do that. If nobody else wants to present it, I'll do it. But I think we should move it forward. 'Cause
I do
think
too.
it's valuable.
I don't think we should just postpone it to a meeting date, because we'll just sit here.
But that, going to the commissioners, we already voted on that. We already decided we're gonna do that. So that I think we can do. And then next meeting, March, I think, yeah, we need to figure out where we're gonna go from here.
Is your anticipation going to the commissioners before March?
Not necessarily, but if we wait until March to decide, it's gonna be April.
Right, exactly, that was my question.
The cover letter is what's been asked for. And then once the cover letter is crafted, we have the document that can be represented to the county commissioners. That's the way I see it. I think it should be done in February. I'll be on the committee. I don't want to present, though. I might add, but I don't want to just lead.
You don't want to practice enough in March and then present?
This has been practiced, I'm sorry, Teresa, but it seems like it's just been forever on the same subject. And
Next is get it
So
done.
I think I moved that, Jay and I and Alan craft a cover letter to go with this publication to the county commissioners and pick a day and email it out to everybody. And whoever wants to show up can.
Second,
And it's that Alan? Or this Alan?
Alan Viergo.
I can come along, but I'm ex officio, of course.
Yeah, I just want you to help us come up with a cover letter that you think hurts your.
Sure, I'll glad to help, and I don't sit on the board, so I can certainly.
You would have us craft a letter.
Okay.
It's a lot of share the work.
yeah, totally. Okay, been moved in.
One quick comment on the checklist, and I don't think it's still read this way, but the fourth bullet under what can I do with my property is, who owns the mineral rights under your property, I would add surface. Go to surface.
surface
mineral
and
rights. And the.
mineral rights.
under- Yeah, under mineral rights,
Yeah,
the fourth bullet under what can I do with the property is, who owns the mineral under the property.
yeah,
Surface minerals are separate, so they'll want to know that too.
okay, I'll make a note of that. And surface minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's all these little points that we have to keep hacking at. We've been doing it for 2 years. Gradually, we get somewhere. But yeah, thanks for that.
Okay, so the motion is for the committee, is that where we're at? Okay, and it's been seconded?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, and Michelle moved it. Any,
Craft a cover letter and schedule the presentation with the county commissioners.
any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Alan, was there anything else? Nancy, did you have a comment about,
I did not.
do you have a legislative comment about any action? Yeah, we've been talking about, the CSKT.
I did receive the minutes today from the tribal minutes. I haven't really had a chance to review them too much yet, but they do specifically say, Senator Daines' claim is that they're giving up 97% of their water rights. And they're specifically saying they're not in their minutes. We did not give up 97% of our water. So there's still a lot of work to be done on that, I'm afraid. I could share these with you by email if you'd like.
Where is it at the Congress level? I mean, is it something
It's
that's
an
gonna be,
introduced bill.
so
it's a-
it can still be massaged all year long?
Well, no,
Just like our little-
they need to complete it. They need to complete it soon. I think it's before June.
So it wasn't extended because it was in January. Now we have a June one?
January was to get the bill introduced, but they still have to do something because the compact will expire. The Montana compact will expire. So as it's written. So yes,
Okay,
unless legislatively something.
no.
But it's moving forward, as well as anything else.
Yeah. Was there any other? Yeah.
I brought us a couple things real quick just to get up to us. So the invasive grasses thing, with Jay Mangle went really good, and then there's just a couple more coming up, definitely revolving around herbicide safety and weed management and education. So March 11th, there's going to be somebody coming in to talk about herbicides, which is going to be a really good conversation to talk about how herbicides work differently. And then on the backside, there's a bunch of stuff. Stephen Van Tassel, who's the Montana Department of Ag guy for rodent management, is going to come talk to us about rodent management. Kellyanne and I are going to do a conversation similar to what she just did here for the people. And then by May, we're going to talk about controlling wormy apples and cuttling moth apple orchards. So a bunch of stuff coming up on there. So just dates and times, mostly in Stevensville. There's going to be one except for Ravalli.
Okay, so this has been updated from this one.
Yeah, there's stuff on the back.
Yeah, okay.
And then the Montana History Society sent out, they run a program called the Continual Farm and Ranch Program. So what they do is they document and celebrate farms that have been in continuous ownership by the same family for 100 years or more. So they sent us a couple flyers to our office. I brought these over. There's 100 years or more owned by the same family, working farm or ranch, minimum of 160 acres. Or if it's less than 160 acres, you have to earn at least $1,000 a year. Seems pretty easy. And one of the owners has to live in Montana. So if anybody feels like they wanted to grab onto one of these, there's a place to get the paperwork and register with the Montana Historical Society. And they, yeah, they're all the same, even though they have different pictures on them. But, if you know somebody or want some more information about it, Montana Historical Society.
Yeah. What used to be, well, what's now Senex, but the co-op, Farmers Union. Farmers Union did this.
Mountain West.
They did this back in the 90s, and I don't know if they're continuing to do it or not. A good thing.
Good there, right? Anything else
of
for
our place.
Alan?
On now.
Another point that you might want to consider adding to this is what to do, what can I do, what do I do with deceased livestock?
Yeah, that's a great point, yeah. Because that is a real issue,
Yeah, it is.
okay?
Yeah, they're not even a service. Yeah.
Go to work and start
You can.
doing
Yes,
little
you can.
additions
Probably
here.
the cheapest thing you can.
You know, talking about 100 years, when I was in Cornell, they were honoring those for over 300 years. For the Dutch speaking, anyway.
I kind of, Alan was given the chairman and then I've been yammering, but,
Fine.
okay. Dan Holt has announced his commitment to running for the commissioner.
For those of you that don't know, Commissioner Hoffman is not going to seek re-election to his position, and I have 5. And so, I wanted everybody to know that from the horse's mouth, and I'll
I can turn those on.
Congratulations to us. I don't know about you.
pass out my little sheet, my introductory sheet. Most of you know me, but there may be something on there that. You know it? I know it.
You didn't get one of those neat things.
It's the best one.
It makes me feel a lot better about stepping down.
No, I didn't, I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I didn't get any of that.
Did you get one, Alan?
Yeah, yeah.
And my printer ran out of ink, and so the elephant's blue turned pink. On some of them. Isn't that lovely?
Hey, boy, that ruined you.
Nancy didn't even hear me. I said I could stir up a bunch of trouble and say I'm here to announce my candidacy for the state senate, but
I was gonna say, gee, this is the survivor.
This is any of the stuff you heard.
I don't mind drafting a letter.
I don't know, I looked at the voting clear back to 1893.
That's amazing.
Kind of interesting. Yeah, and then the communist vote and the Paula, and I don't know what Garcia would do about it. After the apple.
He stepped in it a little bit.
Oh. I'm sitting like 20 feet away from him, and I didn't hear it, so. I heard him ask some question about socialists, but I didn't hear him say what to shoot.
I won't take it back either.
No, he won't say that, no.
Gives you a chance to walk it back and set it up.
Told you, I had learned about it on the world news or whatever. On the-
yeah, I was gonna take this one.
No.
When you go back far enough, it has to do goes all the way back to the Battle of Hastings. And the split, and these are 2 tribes of Norwegians that took over England. And then you had the Scots-Irish, who became the Appalachians, who became the Ozarks, who came to the Bitterroot. And we go back to, the poor Scots-Irish people that had to leave because of the,
I did.
Yeah.
Are we adjourned?
I make a motion that we table the rest of the agenda on the meeting till next.
What is the rest of the agenda?
Just the three ideas for the.
Oh, okay. All right.
Second.
And then motion to adjourn.
And then I make a move, we adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, I took it back.
Just the second
All in
by
favor,
itself.
say aye.
Aye.
Or say anything.
Yeah, say goodbye.
Michelle, I
Not
forgot
Bird.
to ask for roll call. Did you have to get everybody in the roll call?
My wife.
You're awesome.
All right.
Nancy being in the legislature. Have you
Good
ever
night.
read the history
Good night,
of the
Teresa.
Red Corner? You know, the Communist Party.
So for what it's worth.
And where I grew up in Minnesota, there were a lot of Finlanders came in, and when McCarthy had his hearing, they were supremely, angry. Because
Howard,
he said,
there was
what's wrong with being
a-
a communist? I've been a communist all my life.
They didn't know it was.
Yeah.
Going and coming back.
They didn't let Russians.
No, that's why they left.
They're like their own brand.
But they're still working. I get quite a kick out of Kevin Leary. He's getting a lot of mileage out of it. Yeah,
So
well,
if you ask somebody to start talking about their life.
yeah.
And then we need to,
I told him that probably, well, you can get it on the internet. It'd be fun if we just put together about an hour and a half series.
We have made progress.
Yes. Well, are you kind of recovering from the fire, or are you getting, gonna rebuild, or? I suppose, yeah. That's just,